Hello, 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 everyone. This is Irina Strunina and smartmove360. We are diabetically speaking about life in general and about what it is to live diabetic life. Today is Thursday, last Thursday of the month. We have Diabetic Warriors edition. Let's go. All right. Let me bring my guest in. Steve, thank you for joining me today. As I said, today is the last Thursday of the month. And on last Thursday of the month, I am inviting people to share their stories. These are diabetic warriors. These are the people who were diagnosed, and they are sharing with us their ways of how they are managing, how they're dealing with this, what they're doing. And I'm grateful that Steve agreed to be my guest today and share his story. So please tell us who you are and where you are on your diabetics journey, like right now.
Yeah, I'm Steve Mack. I'm an RN and a nurse coach in Western Minnesota. My business is Max Impact Coaching. I've been a type 2 diabetic for approximately 2 years. I think maybe just a little bit over.
And okay, so thank you for this. You've been for about 2 years. So where are you right now? What is your status right now? You are uh, just started making changes, or you started making changes right away? What were your, the starting point and how you progressed over these 2 years?
Where I'm at right now is a lot better.
Okay, that's good.
So when I got diagnosed, I was in the hospital. I was in the ER for chasing down an infection. I had an infection in my leg. And the doctor came in the room and he said, well, you do have that infection. He drew a bunch of blood work, right? And he came back in and he said, well, we've identified this infection. It is what you thought. And also, you're a type 2 diabetic. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's your fault. He's like, uh, okay, I really don't think so, but how? Why do you think that? Like, well, basically, I thought, you draw like blood cultures and lactic acid and stuff like that. I didn't expect you to draw A1C.
Uh-huh.
So if you didn't draw my A1C, then you would not have seen that it's like whatever the number is. So I wouldn't be diabetic. So
Uh-huh.
he chuckled. He's like, okay, I understand your logic. Um, but whatever, you're still diabetic. So he
Yes.
had a good sense of humor about it. So my A1C at that time was 9.9.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say that that's too high. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, so it's pretty high, right? Um, so at first
And
I learned some years ago that men don't get scared, we get angry.
okay.
Um, and I just went straight to, and I got a whole life history of being angry, so it was easy for me. So I just got angry right away.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I was angry about, but really I was scared, is that if I don't eat food, I'm going to die. But if I eat food, I'm going to die. So if I don't eat food, I'm going to starve to death. And if I do eat food, then, my feet get cut off and my kidneys quit working and I go blind and on and on and on. And then you die. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So catastrophizing like right now, right away. And so I don't know, journey really, but what I started to do was like, of course, I went to Google. Like, I'm a
Yeah.
nurse and we tell patients all the time, don't ask Google about your symptoms.
Uh-huh.
So, of course, I went to Google. Um, and I don't work with a regular doctor, like I haven't for some time. Prior to being diagnosed as diabetic, I didn't think I had any chronic medical problems where I had to see a doctor regularly, right? So I'd go
Yeah.
in if there was something wrong with me. Well, anyway, so now I'm working with Google, and everybody and their pet monkey has like the best diet, right?
Yeah.
And so pick one. It's carnivore, it's intermittent fasting, it's keto, it's vegan, it's vegetarian, it's like pescatarian, like pick Mediterranean, pick one. They're all the best. And they
Yes.
all have science and they all have facts and it was confusing, it was competitive, it was contradictory, and it was super frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Um, anyway, so I get over that. Like this is months, right? And I have another infection in my leg. So this had been a recurring problem for me, and I'm in the hospital again. But this time I went in and I was already septic by the time I went in, like super sick. Like the infection
Mm-hmm.
spread, it was system wide in my body. So the first time when I got diagnosed, I just got, some IV antibiotics and got sent home with oral antibiotics. This time I'm bad enough I got admitted to the hospital and had an argument with, so this is a different doctor, right? So there's no continuity. That's my own
Mm-hmm.
fault. It's not fault of healthcare, but I'm in a different place. Like geographically, I was a travel nurse, and so now I'm in a different place, so I have a different doctor, right? And he's like, "We got to give you insulin because my blood sugar was something over 350, which
Okay.
some people say is kind of high."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a little bit. That's kind of sarcastic, but yeah, that's pretty high.
Yes.
Um, he's like, "We have to give you insulin, but I don't want to take insulin."
Uh-huh.
And so we go back and forth, and we finally settled on, "Let me give you insulin while you're in the hospital, and then when you go home, you can just kind of decide to do whatever you're going to do." They also hooked me up with a dietitian because I asked them to. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you must be this hospital must have a dietitian. Can I talk with one? And I've been reading all these different diets, and I've tried some and all this thing, right? And so the dietitian came in, and she's about the size of a number two pencil or a straw at a restaurant. And at the time, I think I'm down like 75 pounds now. At the time, I was like roughly 400 pounds. Um,
Wow.
and she's the size of a straw at a restaurant.
Yes.
And she's young enough that she can't possibly have any medical history herself.
Well,
Right? So she's
yeah.
like early 20s. Like, do your parents know that you're here today instead of in school?
Uh-huh.
Um, and everything I asked her, every one of her answers came directly out of the pamphlet that she brought with her that the hospital had printed.
Okay.
And I had been reading about low carb, and she said that I need to take, like, low carb thing is like less than 30 or 50 grams of carbs per day. And her thing said per day, her thing said that I should have 30 to 40 grams of carbs per meal.
Okay.
And I should eat 3 meals a day and also some snacks. But 30 to 40 grams of carbs per meal, where the other information I was reading was like less than 50 grams of carbs per day.
Yes. Very
Like
different.
hugely different, right? At some point, my wife and I, this was, I think, spring of 2022, my wife and I went to a nurse coach conference in
Mm-hmm.
Arizona, which was all vegan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I agreed to be vegan for the weekend.
For a
Um,
weekend.
yeah, for the length of that conference, right? And so that's all. That's all new for me. I like eating meat, and I've really thought about, like, I'm going to bring meat with me, or like meat sticks or something. But
Uh-huh.
I finally decided I'll just go with it and just do the thing, right? My blood sugar stayed, and vegan is supposed to be really good for diabetics, and I'm checking my blood sugar super regularly, like obsessing over it. I'm checking it a lot. My blood sugar stayed over 350 the whole weekend. Well, that was depressing and rattled me. Anyway, so finally, what I finally settled in was I can't make any sense of all the different things I'm reading. Every different person I talk to always has a different opinion and so on. So I finally settled on this. I'll just eat more of the food that is good for me, more of the
Mm-hmm.
food, I'm sorry, more of the food I already know is good for me, less of the food that I already know is bad for me. And I'll do more exercise, stuff that I enjoy doing. So
Yes.
for me, that's kettlebells and resistance bands. And then I just relaxed on everything else. Will you plug that in for me? I think I'm about to lose power. My computer will die.
Don't do that.
But anyway, so I decided to just relax on everything else and just, like I say, eat more of the food that I already knew was good for me, less of the food that I already knew was bad for me, right?
Uh-huh.
And then just do more exercise that I enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm.
So by doing that, like I say, I'm down a little over 75 pounds.
Nice.
Um, and initially, when I was, so I'm diagnosed, right? Brand new diagnosis. My A1C was 9.9.
Yes.
My last blood work was just a couple of weeks ago, and my A1C was down to 7.1.
Nice. Very good.
Yeah. And so um, that's a 2.8 points improvement.
Absolutely.
Um, and my fasting blood sugar at that time was 117.
Okay.
So it's a little bit higher than normal, but I am a type 2 diabetic, so I didn't expect it to be normal. Um, and yeah, so kind of I've relaxed about the whole thing. I continue to get better. It's not that I'm slack about it.
Mm-hmm.
I've just decided not to stress about it.
That's good.
And the thing that was, uh, like I saw, I was really stressed for a long time, like
Mm-hmm.
obsessed over it. And reading all these conflicting things and whatever. Like,
Yes.
well,
Not helping.
yeah. So that's how it's helping me. I don't have any stress about it at all. Um, you know,
You
I
know
just
what
don't
you
need
are
like a
doing.
vagabond.
Yeah, this is interesting because the how it may sound strange, but even the person who knows nothing about medicine, about diabetes, about exercises and good what is good for the body, almost everyone have the list of foods and activities that are good for us and
Hmm.
they don't do, right?
That's the
And the
biggest thing.
list of activities and foods that are not good for us and they do.
Yeah.
So it's usually it does not require a lot of education to make this change. What it needs to recognize that in yourself, right? So when
Yeah.
once you realize that I know that I need to eat more vegetables, but I don't like them. Well, but they're good for me. So let's do what is good for me rather than don't.
Oh, but a thing I forgot to mention is in all that time lowering my A1C um, and dropping weight, I'm completely untreated. I
So
don't
you're
take
not taking any
metformin.
medication.
Nope. I don't take metformin. I don't take insulin. Um, I don't take any of that stuff. Um, some supplements. I take some
Uh-huh.
supplements, but that's it. Um, the thing that I found is that, like you say, most of us already kind of have an idea that broccoli is better than Oreo cookies. Like in the
Yes.
world of health, right? Broccoli is,
Uh-huh.
it's unfortunate. If it tasted more like Oreo cookies, probably more people would eat it. But
Yes.
anyway, broccoli is better for you than Oreo cookies, right?
Uh-huh.
So most of us know that. We don't have to hire a nutritionist to find that out. Most of us just kind of know, right? Um, and we just don't do the thing that would be good for us. Most of us know that going for a walk is more healthful than playing a video game, which
Yes.
is maybe somebody going for a walk.
That
Most of us just kind of know, right?
mhm.
Here's one of the things that made a change for me. This was one of the games that I was playing. I didn't even recognize I was playing the game. I'm a type 2 diabetic. I've already been diagnosed, and I'm still drinking Mountain Dew.
Uh-huh.
And some people would say that that's not a health drink. right?
Yes.
Um, so, but I've been drinking Mountain Dew since I was really, really young. Um, and there are points in my life when I drank unhealthy quantities of Mountain Dew. When I was an over the road truck driver, I drank more than
Okay.
2 2 liters a day.
Oh my God.
Um, yeah, so it was kind of a lot. But anyway, so I'm a type 2 diabetic and I'm still drinking Mountain Dew in it, and I would fight about it. I would quit because I can't have it. Right? The language
Uh-huh.
I think is important. It was important for me. I can't have it. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd stay away from it because I can't have it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not allowed. But the reason that everybody paints a wall and then sticks a sign near it is because like I'm trying to tempt everyone to come and touch this wet paint.
Yes.
Right? If ever you see a sign that says wet paint, the thing you want to do is like, I want to see if it's still wet.
Uh-huh.
Right? That's how the brain works. Well, one day I'm actually in the hospital, and the time when I'm talking with that dietitian who's the size of a straw, um, and I just decided, who am I as a person?
Okay.
So I decided I'm a person who doesn't drink Mountain Dew, and I haven't had one
Mm.
since. So
All
that was the
right.
difference for me. That was October 8th of 2022,
Okay.
um, and yeah, so I haven't had a Mountain Dew since then. Um, because at first it was super super hard, right? I've been drinking it basically my whole life since I was super young, and I'm 51 now, but so that's a lot of years. So at first it was super super hard because I'm an adult, right? I can do whatever I want. Um,
Yes.
but after I made that decision, suddenly I had a lot less interest.
Mm-hmm.
At first it was hard, but then it was like it just kind of went away. I didn't even really, like, I'd see them in stores and so on, but I wasn't drawn to it anymore
Okay.
because I'm a person who doesn't drink Mountain Dew. Just like if you said, "Hey, when we get off this call, would you like to go rob the bank with me?"
Yeah.
Well, I'm a person who doesn't rob banks, and so be like, no, I don't want to go do that. That's not my thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of like that. There are some times when I was super tempted hard. I'm going to go to a party or something. I don't drink alcohol, but I'm going to go to a party and other people are going to be drinking stuff, and I want to drink Mountain Dew because I'm at a party. And when that happened, I had a flash in my mind of the sign you'd see in a warehouse or
Uh-huh.
a factory that says this many days without a lost time accident, right? With no
Okay.
injuries. And I would think, is it worth it to me? Is having this bottle of Mountain Dew worth it to me to change the sign? It's been this many
Yeah.
days since a lost time accident, right? Like you'd have in a factory. And I just decided, no, it wasn't worth changing the sign.
That's
But then
good.
it became kind of a game to me. How many days is it, right? So October this year will be 2 years.
All
October 8th of
right.
2022 is the last time I drank Mountain Dew. Um, so I do still sometimes drink some sodas. I'm not
Yeah.
super clean.
Uh-huh.
I just drink a lot less of it,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
never drink it under compulsion. I have
Mm-hmm.
to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is the way it used to be for me. But I never drink it under compulsion. I just drink it because, like, that sounds good right now. Um, it's been a few days since I've had one, so sure, right? And then I
Okay.
just adjust other things that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah,
All right. Well, I was going to ask you what was your biggest aha moment. We have a little bit time left. Can you share with us this?
it was deciding who I am as a person. That's what made
Okay.
the change for me. When
All
I
right.
decided I'm a person who doesn't drink Mountain Dew, then
Perfect.
after that, the rest of it was
Much
simpler.
easier. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Easier. All right. Okay. Then, in this case, let me ask you this question. You are a nurse. You work with people. You are helping them. And my question, so you are a caregiver.
Mhm.
So what would be your one suggestion for caregivers? Because we have people who were diagnosed, they go to doctors, they speak with nurses, sometimes they speak with diabetic educators, they attend classes. So they are given some instructions, recommendations, some guidance. But there are people who are staying at home who are caregivers. They are providing support, they are offering help, but they didn't go to those classes, they didn't go to those consultations. What would be your recommendation for them? How they could be effective helpers, support people for those who have diabetes?
Okay, so helping to support the person they're taking care of, not for themselves.
Yes.
Um, well, it'd be this. So a lot of times, especially in a close relationship, right? My wife is going to try to take care of me, and I'm laid
Mhm.
up at home, right?
Yes.
Um, in fact, this happened like the last time I was in the hospital um, because of that infection. I haven't had that infection now for a long time, but so she got angry with me and was yelling at me, I have to go because, and like, you should know better. And well, like really top down, right?
Hmm.
Badgering me to go. Um, and most men, at least, don't like to be badgered.
Yes.
Um,
Women
so,
neither.
yeah, we don't mind being encouraged, but we don't like being badgered.
No.
So, anyway, my wife is badgering me about going. I finally did go, and by the time I did, I was septic. So, she was right. I should have gone earlier. But so my suggestion would be that leadership is influence.
Uh-huh.
Leadership is not control. So if somebody's a caregiver, their responsibility is to support the person who's making their own decisions. In the
Hmm.
world of healthcare, one of the tenets is that a patient has autonomy, right? And so, or in the world of coaching, right, that the client can choose their own goals. Like that's kind of the
Hmm.
thing. So I can disagree with you. Like, I don't think that one's going to be that helpful, right?
Yeah.
But it's not up to me to make the decision for you,
Uh-huh.
right? So recognizing that leadership is influence, it's nothing more, nothing less. And what the caregiver can do is influence the person toward those objectives. So if the caregiver is the one who's doing most of the grocery shopping, then gradually over time, changing the things that are available in the refrigerator, right?
Okay.
Um, and not cutting it cold turkey because then you're probably going to get a revolt. It's going to be like wet paint. I'm going to go and check, right? How wet is it? Still
Uh-huh.
wet?
Uh-huh.
Um, and talking with the person about just their mindset. How important is it? In fact, a friend of mine challenged me and asked me. So, like in the in the past, I've had a lot of suicidal thoughts, not
Okay.
related to diabetes, but just like over lots and lots of years. And then we added diabetes onto the list of things about me, right? So if a friend of mine was irritable that I'm not managing it the way he thinks I should manage it,
Uh-huh.
and so he asked me if not taking medicine was me being like I'm just going to be kind of suicidal, and this is the route. It's just going to be slow because it's
Yeah.
I'm just going to let diabetes take its course.
Uh-huh.
And I had to really think about that. Like it had never been in my mind before, but I had to really think about it. So I'm like, no, no. Like I did it. I did the work and thought it through. And like, no, actually, I hadn't connected those at all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm surprised that he did. But he respected me enough to ask me the question, right? And then
Yes.
because I was asked a question, I did the work to think it through.
Uh-huh.
So some of that is on the strength of the relationship that the caregiver and the client or whoever it is has together, the strength of that relationship, the health of it. But as caregivers, we can encourage, we can influence, but we
Mm-hmm.
can't control, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so that would be the thing. And I think that would take a lot of stress off of caregivers where like this person's not doing what I know they should do.
Yeah.
Well, that the client or whoever it is also has autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, now there's room for boundaries too, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, if I'm going to be your caregiver, I can't just watch you take a blowtorch to your foot every day. I'm not going to bring
Exactly.
you a blowtorch. So if
Yes.
I'm going to be your caregiver, like we got to really talk about how we're going to work this out and create boundaries for yourself. Because caregiver doesn't mean that you have to answer every single call light and just jump every time somebody wants a specific thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Caregiver doesn't mean rug that gets walked on.
Yes, for sure.
Um, so there's room for boundaries there as well.
Yes.
Um,
Well, I
and
appreciate
most
you
people,
sharing it with us because I
yeah,
hear a lot of times when people who are caregivers and they ask in our group in this Diabetes 101 for Beginners, I would love to help, but I don't know. I cannot just sit and watch, but I don't know what I can do.
we can
And
also try recipes. Like if I don't like vegetables, for example, um, then try different recipes. Try fixing the broccoli, right? So let's eat less Oreo cookies and more broccoli. Well, let's try making broccoli a different way where it tastes better,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Um,
So
and
kind of
exploring those things together.
exactly. Yes, it's I'm one of the reasons why I'm asking these questions is because it was important for me as being a caregiver for my husband. I was not very educated on it at that time, and I I did do a lot of grocery shopping and cooking, but at the same time, I I was not informed about the results of it, and I thought that I learned so much that I have to force him to do what I learned, and that was
Yeah,
not a good solution. Steve, we are running short in our time. I know we can talk about it for a long time. You're a great storyteller, so I appreciate you coming and sharing with us this. Um, you are the member of our group, right? Diabetes
I am.
101 for beginners. So if anyone who is listening to us today will want to connect with you, maybe to create some relationships in terms of exchange of experiences and try different things with you, talk about it. Uh, your name is the same like here on the screen, Steve Mack in our
Yep.
Facebook. So
Yep. Yeah,
anyone
just
who
send me
would
a
like,
message.
yeah, anyone who would like to connect with Steve, send him a message. If you don't know how to find him, find me, and I will connect you with him. And I just wanted to go real quick over the a list of activities that we do in our Facebook group. So anybody new will know what to expect. So on Mondays, we usually have the Motivational Mondays, and Monica Henderson, our agent of change, are coming with the little talks. On Tuesdays, we have Telenurse Tuesdays, where our nurses are answering your questions related to uh, your diagnosis, maybe the ways of how it's being treated, what you can do, how you can help yourself, or maybe help somebody you care for. Every other Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, we have support group meetings for our group members, and everybody is invited to join. Usually, these are group members, and I'm always trying to bring some healthcare professional so you could ask questions and get the expert opinion or suggestions on it. On Thursdays, we have our Diabetically Speaking with smartmove360 podcast. We go live at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we also have it in recordings and it also on our YouTube channel. So share this information with those who you think may benefit from listening to our guests. And on Fridays, of course, we have our own Trevor Brown coming with Fitness Fridays. He is showing different ways how we can improve our body's condition. One thing I wanted to remind everyone, mark your calendars. On August 31st, it will be last Saturday of the month of August. We will have our next 15th Diabetic Healthcare Expo, where our healthcare professionals are coming together to help you to manage and reverse your diagnosis. With that, I am finishing up. Again, Steve, thank you very much for joining me today for this conversation. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thanks for
Everyone
having me.
who listened to us, please show it, and you find it useful and interesting, share it with people you know. And we will see everyone next week on Thursday at 4 p.m. Talk to you.